On March 12, 1689, King James himself landed in Ireland. Before long, a Jacobite army marched into Ulster, forcing Protestants from all over the north to retreat to Derry. Troops under the command of Governor Lundy set out to defend the river crossings at Long Causey and Claddyford. Resistance was weak, and they were soon put to flight amid rumours that Lundy intended to surrender to the advancing Jacobites. Angered by Lundy's actions, the citizens of Derry forced him to flee the city. Legend has it he made his escape over the walls by climbing down a pear tree. He was replaced as governor by Colonel Henry Baker and the Reverend George Walker, rector of Donaghmore, County Tyrone. Walker is left as the most famous first-hand account of the siege. In his diary, Walker was always ready to cast himself in an heroic role. King James II arrived in front of the city on April 18, 1689. He arrived down here at Bishopsgate and confidently expected that his appearance would bring about an immediate surrender. The king was wrong. He was startled to be met by cries of "No surrender" and a volley of shots fired from the walls. One stray cannonball killed an officer next to the king. On the 11th of June, a fleet of 30 ships sailed into Lough Foyle. These ships carried ample stocks of food and 5,000 troops under the command of Major General Percy Kirk. The fleet weighed anchor off Culmore Point, and it looked as if the relief of the city was imminent. However, as the days passed, the initial joy of the garrison turned to dismay, as it became evident that it was making no attempt to come upriver. Then, on the 12th of July, the citizens on the walls were horrified to see that most of Kirk's fleet had disappeared overnight. Kirk's fleet lay in the distance at the mouth of Lough Foyle, within plain sight of where I'm standing here at the top of St. Colum's Cathedral. Communication wasn't possible because of the absence of any pre-arranged code or signal. Imagine how they felt within the city when they saw the fleet sail off. In the last stage of the siege, people were dying in great numbers from hunger, leprosy, fever, and a host of other ailments. Here's an extract from Governor Walker's diary dated July 27th. The garrison is reduced to 4,456 men and under the greatest extremity for want of provision, which does appear by this account, taken by a gentleman in the garrison, of the price of food. Horseflesh sold for 1 shilling and 8 per pound. A quarter of a dog was 5 shillings and 6. These were fattened by eating the bodies of the slain Irish. A dog's head was 2 shillings and 6. A cat, 4 shillings and 6. A rat, 1 shilling, and a goodbye mouse for 6.
Well, at least 10,000 inhabitants of Derry died during the siege, most of them from disease, which always breaks out when people are starving and cramped and overcrowded. And many, many thousands of the Irish army also died, again, mostly by disease, or some were killed by shot and shell and so on. I think it's quibbling to say that wasn't really a siege.
At the end of July, Kirk's fleet returned to the Foyle under orders to attempt to break the boom which blocked the river. On the evening of 28th of July, 2 supply ships, the Phoenix and the Mountjoy, set sail. The Mountjoy rammed the boom, was forced back and grounded. It was attacked by the Irish and freed itself only by the recoil of its own cannon. In the meantime, the Phoenix slipped through the breach, followed closely by the Mountjoy. They were supported by the warship Dartmouth, and soon the boom was broken and supplies were on their way to the starving garrison. With the boom shattered, the Irish army realised that their last chance of starving the garrison into submission was gone. By the morning, they had struck camp. After 105 days, the siege of Derry was over. But what is its significance today?
It's twofold, at least. The first is its effect upon subsequent British history, which we talked about earlier, that if Derry had surrendered, it is possible that James would have won that war and the Stuarts would be reigning today. But who can say? I think that's, on the world stage, that's a significance. The other significance is its effect on what you might call the folklore of Ulster history. Its effect as a rallying point to Protestants and the pride, a sense of pride they have in the achievements of the defenders of Derry. It's become a sort of symbol of the whole of Ulster, in a way, a besieged city, a besieged province. No surrender.